The views and opinions expressed by the Real Teachers of Atlanta, LLC, are those of the podcasters and do not necessarily reflect the official policy, position, ideologies, or standards of any school district in any county in the United States. Any content provided by our podcasters, guests, and callers are of their opinion and are not intended to malign any religion, ethnic group, club, organization, company, institutions affiliated with the local government, individuals, or anyone or anything. The podcasts and all affiliated with the Real Teachers of Atlanta, LLC, are used for entertainment purposes only.
All right, welcome back to another episode of the Real Teachers of Atlanta. Today, we are back in the studio talking about parent-teacher conferences. Want to get y'all in the know. Before we get all the way started, please make sure to like, share, and subscribe. We are at all social media at Real Teachers of Atlanta. So let's get this thing started.
Let's get into it.
I love when you say it. Let's get it started. Okay, my bad. You know, in my past life, I was a singer. Anyway, so parent-teacher conferences. How you feel about it? You like it? You don't like it?
Much needed.
Much needed? That's what you feel.
Oh, they're necessary. They're essential to the development and the success of a student.
Okay. I like them sometimes. I don't like it when parents are like, parent-teacher conferences are cool. I just feel rushed all the time. I feel like it's a rush, and I feel like a lot of times parents will wait till that time, I think, to have a conversation with us. And I don't like that part. That I feel like the first time I've ever talked to you is halfway through the semester.
Well, I think also a lot of parents are pressed for time.
Sure.
A lot of them work multiple jobs, and a lot of them just say they don't have the time. So what do we do with those types of parents? Like, how do we reach out to them? How do we get them involved?
I feel like they should wait. I feel like so, in the beginning of school, you have open house and all the parents come in and kids are excited. I think that's the start. It's like dating. I think, it is, because you think about, like, you first meet them, like, you have never met me, so you're blind. Your first date is, like, when the parents come in, and it's like,
my name is
hi, exactly, I'm Miss Rhodes, and I'm the math teacher, and we're going to, and this is little Becky Sue, it's nice to meet you, right. That's your first, that's our first time, Becky Sue, it's the first one I can't mind, but that's the first time you meet them.
Because it's a relationship, right?
It is, and you got to start off, on a good foot, and I think
it's supposed to be.
Well, it's not a relationship yet.
Yes,
you're hoping to make one. Yes.
Right. It has to be established, but they're important. You have to show up so you'll know what's going on versus waiting to the last minute when it's hard to help that student.
Yeah.
So they can be fun. Parent conferences, they can be fun. I've had some fun.
So what are
some
some fun experiences
yeah,
that you had?
What's fun about them? What experience have you had that are fun?
That you can recall?
That I can recall.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, I have a funny experience. Now, one of my girlfriends who, a teacher that I know of, we were all in a teacher conference. I mean, it wasn't funny at the time, but sometimes you look back at things and it's funny to us. We made jokes about it to this day. But we were in a teacher conference. The parent didn't like some things that she was saying about the students, so her retaliation was, welcome. My friend was from the Bahamas, so she said, welcome to America.
Wow.
Yeah, so she was being offensive, and then, we look back at it and laugh at the situation because, you just can't take things personal as a teacher when it comes to parent conference because they're, it's just like customer service or what have you. They're not mad at you. They're mad at the situation. So you just have to take it like a grain of salt.
Yeah. I actually had a student removed out of my class once because, not removed. The parent was so frustrated with me. This is what I was told. The lady told me this, that she didn't like the vibe. She didn't like my vibe, I guess. And she didn't want her student to be in my class.
Was the child failing or?
No.
Mm-hmm. grades not where the parents.
They weren't great, but they weren't great. You know, it wasn't like he was straight A's or A's and B's. I mean, he was pretty middle of the road as far as grade wise. Could he have done better? Absolutely. He had great potential. His behavior was not great. That's how I know he could have done better, because like middle of the road, but he was still like, his behavior was awful. But the parent was always like, so what are you doing about it? Well, that's your fault. And I was like, well, actually, you know, I've been trying to reach out to you. She said that she just thought she just didn't like me. But I think the part that I never, like, in that moment, it was so fresh to teaching, because I think that how you look at it also is like how long you've been in the game, you know. So it was my first or second year, I think, and I do feel like I took it so personally, because it was the first time it happened. I was like, she doesn't like, how could the parent not like me? Like, I'm so nice, because everybody else loved me, and I'm just like,
do you think maybe the behavior in your class is not what she sees at home, or maybe she was thinking you were making it up or something?
I do, because she could just never fathom what I was saying, and she just thought I was kind of like picking on her student. I'm like, no.
And that's the thing, really, parents need to understand, like, we're never picking on your child. Like, most teachers, well, I know us for sure, like, we love our kids. Kids that we've taught in the past, and the kids that, you know, that we have currently. We want them to do the best. But the thing that I would like for parents to do is to have expectations for their kids.
Yes.
Because children will only rise to the expectation that you set. And
communicate that.
And communicate, hey, I think that you are an AB student. This C is unacceptable. Let's try to figure out how we can work toward getting, you know, your grades better. Or how to improve your grades. And when parents don't set expectations, it kind of allows the kid to just do whatever. And then when the child is failing, then you're wondering why. I mean, there are a lot of other issues as well, but parents have to have expectations for their kid. And of course, all children are not going to rise to that, but I have high expectations for the students that I currently have. Like, I expect for them to do well inside of school and outside of school. I'm constantly encouraging them, hey, if you want to go out for the basketball team, do it. If you want to get a straight A on a test or whatever, you can do it. It's all about your mindset. If you tell yourself that you can't do something, that is where your mind is going to go. And without kind of going too deep into, you know, because they're still kids, but just encouraging them.
And all the expectations cannot fall on the teacher. Everybody has a piece that they play. And I tell all my kids that you are the first person that's responsible for your education. So, and what I would like to tell teachers, you had a note, a little tad bit for the parents. Teachers, be prepared for the parents. Meeting.
Oh my goodness.
I don't like to be in meetings with long-winded teachers.
As a parent, right? Don't look at me. I have a script.
Have the grades. Have the grades. Have the behavior. And you know, whatever you can solution that you have to help that student for is speaking with the parent. But let's not have it, you know, we don't have to be winded when it comes to teacher-parent conferences.
I don't think that that's not being prepared. I think part of it is experience, because there's no class you go to for parent-teacher conferences that tells you this is how you do it. There's no prep for that you're given ahead of time. Like, we're not trained to do it.
Hi, this is Ms. Carter.
I was in the past, in the past, I have been at a school, and because this particular school, you know, didn't want to be in parent-teacher conferences all night as well. Hey, this is what you cover. You introduce yourself, blah, 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 and this is what you cover.
Really? Never had that.
I don't like them really long. I say my
I don't like them long either.
What the child's grade is, what assignments they're missing, do you have any questions, and we're going to move on. I don't know why we need to sit.
You short-winded.
Yeah, I am. Because there's so many kids, and it's like, now if you have a question about an assignment, of course, I'm going to tend to your question, but we don't, I think sometimes, especially when we were doing, during COVID, they were all on Zoom. I just think they were way too long.
You know, I think that, so I don't disagree, but I also feel like what ends up happening is, like, depending on your position, like, not your position, but your content.
Okay.
So I felt like, for me, in my situation with math, if these are parents I haven't seen ever, it's like, now you need all this information here. And if their child is failing, I would be trying to answer all the questions up front because I didn't want them to have to, because I was never going to see them again. Because that's how it was.
As a parent, I don't want to be in a conference all day.
It's not that, but okay, so to that point, right? Yeah, you don't want to be in a conference all day. And I'll play devil's advocate because we've talked about this, you know, we've had this kind of conversation before. You don't have to wait to the conference. We can have whatever conversation you want to have before, at any point during the school year. So from day 1 to day, 180, we can have whatever conference. Or, you know, you can call, text, email, and I don't have any problem communicating with you. And I think what it ends up feeling like, at least from my perspective, is on the teacher side, I'm like, I've never spoken with you. We've never had any sort of anything. I haven't heard from you. I have no idea what's going on. The only thing, right? So now it's like,
so do you think that that's the teacher causing the conversation to be a lot longer than it necessary? Because even if I haven't seen a parent ever,
it depends on the situation, I think. But it's not that it has to be.
Oh, okay.
I don't think it has to be because there's some
it just
goes.
You're just talking,
and the parent is trying to leave. But I think some teachers are just trying to maybe make sure that the parent, because I might not ever see you again because you might work or whatever, you know. But
I do agree with being. I do agree though with being prepared ahead of time and being concise and saying this is. I do agree with that. So I'm not arguing against it at all. I think it's actually beneficial. So, like, even in I know other teachers who I'm like, oh my gosh, can we wrap this up, you know? So I understand the feeling that we're talking about. And I think, especially, you know, middle school setting where you have all these kids and you're sharing students, it does make it harder because everybody's kind of tied to that one meeting at that time. But I think if I was to say, like, for parents, what's beneficial is not using parent-teacher conference time to be your first real communication to understand what your student needs or whatever it is up to that point. Like at that point, parent-teacher conference is like a checkpoint. It's know what I mean? To be a checkpoint, it's not supposed to be the first time we've ever conversed about what's going on with your student. And I think that's the miss is what it ends up being is, oh, I haven't talked to you since open house. Now we're at the first 9 weeks. Yeah. Let's talk about everything right now. And I'm like, yo, it's too late for half of the stuff that you're talking about.
And it's not the time for parents to get ready to turn up. Like they have their pick of the teacher that they want to go. Well, what word I'm looking for, Joy? You know, I'm looking for a word. What word I'm looking for?
Triangle.
Have a debate with it. Yeah.
Like, I'll give you a word.
It's not the time. Triangle.
That's the first one that popped in my head. Triangle. I don't know.
She's a math teacher.
That's what I had.
No, debate.
A debate. Okay.
With the teacher, that is just not the time. That's a separate. Hey, if you need to follow up with that teacher after the meeting, that's the time to do that. But not in front of your child or other teachers. Like, that is just inappropriate.
Yes, I'm glad you said that. In front of your child. Oh my goodness. You're right. And I think that parents, when you have those, bring your kid to the conference. I love that. Bring your kid, have them right there. So that way it's not a secret, because I have felt like I've had kids who are like, oh, so you told my parent, you should have been sitting right there. I need you to know what, like, you should know what, like, my mom has always told me, like, you should be the first person to tell your side, to tell your story, right? You shouldn't let someone else tell your story. So if I teach my kids to do that, and my students, I tell them the same thing. Go tell your story. Like, okay, you didn't have a great day. You might want to go tell your parents about this, because if we had a conference, this might come up. You want to go and let you know now. You feel in this class, you might want to go and let them know. Let them know I gave you this same piece of paper 22.5 times. You still ain't turned it in. I just want you to be aware.
Everybody,
you know what I mean?
Everybody on the up and up.
Right.
There's no surprises.
Correct.
Because I sent a communication home in the first place before the meeting. So I don't need nobody to come to the meeting.
Facts. This is the first time I hear surprise. No.
Ain't no surprise.
This your email address, right? Confirm. I used
Right.
to do that. I used to do it all the time. This is your email address? That's accurate? Okay, this your phone number? Let me text you real quick. Make sure you got my number. Okay. Oh, this work? Okay, so did you get all these other messages that email? I've had parents, I'm like, I've been calling you, and now you're trying to say I've never tried to talk to you.
Because it's getting to it's crunch time. So now it's like, okay, we're coming into finals, and now we have all this work, and now can you give my child extra work?
Nope.
Okay.
But you know, that's
no, ma'am.
Right, can't do it, because that's extra credit for you is extra work for me. And I can't do it.
And make sure that you are in a quiet environment or free from distractions when you're at the parent-teacher conference. If it's via Zoom.
Oh, yeah.
If it's via Zoom.
Or don't bring all 9 kids or whatever you got going on, or the kids you babysit. I'm sorry.
Well, they don't have any one-to-one.
If you don't, that's fine.
You gotta do what you gotta do.
Because I am not above having coloring sheets and crayons out for the other kids. Like, I have done that before. Like, I'm well aware, because I have kids. And I think when you're as a teacher, I think the best way to there's 2 parts to preparation. I think if we were to say this is how you prepare for a parent-teacher conference, have like these are the things I need to hit for every single student, and then like along with that, these are the kids that if I see them, I definitely need to touch on these additional pieces. That's one part. And then your other stuff, like the parent part of you has to kick in and say, okay, if mom and dad bring the other 3 siblings, how do I make sure that they're supported? Because even I will say that even just having those little coloring sheets and things was super helpful, because those kids were able to be distracted and the parents could focus more on what we were doing. Like, if you got a nursing baby, I don't care. Bring them, nurse them. I'm not offended because you showed up.
Yeah, the baby has to eat.
Yeah, whatever you got going on. I think parents don't let anything else be a deterrent to you showing up. If you got a baby and a child that's school age, bring everybody, but set the standard. And I think as a teacher, we have to know, okay, I need to be prepared, but also make sure that the other kids are the little kids that you know might come with big brother and sisters. Okay.
Yes, little kids.
What you thought she said? I don't want to know what you thought she said.
The little kids.
Okay. So, okay. How you feel about those students that are just doing wonderful, like wonderfully great, straight A students? Now, how do you feel about those parents coming to conference? For me, I feel like there is a seat at the table for them also.
Yeah. I was that kid where my parents would come to the parent-teacher conference trying to see, like, how is Joya doing? Although I wasn't a problem, but still, my parents were like, hey, we're here. I think for my parents, they just wanted to just be present and visual and proactive and say, hey, you know, we are here. Whatever you need, if there are any problems with her, I don't care if she's talking too much in class, you need to call us.
Yeah.
How do you feel, Nikki?
Y'all know I'm bitching. Okay, so I like that you said about being visible and making your, I guess, presence known.
Felt and known.
Yes, felt and seen, because you know that's a parent that I can reach out to. Yes. So now y'all know I'm conflicted. I have 2 sides to this. On one side, I have had parents that I guess I cannot say this is for sure exactly how they felt, but this is how they came across. Is like they just wanted to hear all the good stuff, and I've had parents that have said it. I just came so you can tell me that they're doing great and they're wonderful.
How do you feel about that?
And I didn't.
Just don't believe that a parent.
I have had it. We can name names later, but please do that off air. But we can have a talk about it. We will not be naming names on air. However.
And that's all.
Okay. Anywho,
okay.
But I have had a few. I would say at least 3 or 4 parents over the years that have said, I just wanted to come so you could tell me that such and such was doing good, because it looks like they're doing great. And I'm like, if you can give me the rundown.
That's good energy.
Okay, you're right. It is good energy. But I'm going to tell you from, okay. I do, but I don't. But this is why. And this is why, and I'm going to it's just gonna sound selfish. I can't even deny
All right,
it.
well,
Like, it just is what it is, right?
Let's get
It is that parent-teacher conference time slots are so short. We have so many kids. And I know, I get that, you know, that we already know there's just not enough slots for everybody. I understand all of that. But honestly, I always feel like, if you already know, then why are you like, we could have just called me.
Because my kid is doing great, I shouldn't come.
I'm just telling you, for those couple parents, if you're coming just for that, like I said, if you're coming just because you want me to say it to your face, even though I called you and said it to
other folks' kids to their face that they ain't doing in class.
I tell their kid, when I have students doing great, I reinforce that in class. I really appreciate your behavior, and I think that you're doing a wonderful job. And I call those parents. I do not reserve my phone.
Send my child to school
to do what they're supposed to do.
Do what they're supposed
to do. So
why can't I show up?
So here's the thing. Because you shouldn't have to, because I've already called you to tell you that your child is doing a wonderful job in my class.
And you told little Johnny mama too that he was sleeping.
I told both of them the same. Yeah, so she ain't.
It ain't turned in no homework.
Correct. But I'm just saying, if that is, like I said, if this is the only reason you're coming, like I said, for those few parents that have just tainted this area,
but they are parents.
Sure,
so
I understand that. Well, I still welcome that. I don't deny them their conference. It's just like, no, I'm not. But I'm say it. But I've said it. Because I call you because I do feel like your child should know.
Right.
But for me, and I'm only speaking from my experience, I do call. I do not wait for conferences to tell you that your child is doing awesome and that you've obviously raised it great.
So you call the good
yeah, students? Absolutely. That's one of my favorite calls because I know they're going to end well. I know it makes me feel good because as a parent, right? To hear, such and such had a wonderful week. They're just enjoyable.
That
so
was
it makes me feel
they need to know what's happening.
All the time.
Parents, I may have not showed up for teacher conferences every time they have, but I always have parent, I'm emailing you if I see a grade drop or whatever.
Yes.
You know, it's too many times. You know, if I'm seeing things that are just not on regular schedule, like dropping in test grade, dropping in grade, it's a quick email or phone call for me.
Right.
So I don't have to be there for parent-teacher conference because I have followed up throughout the year. And I think that's even for high school, like I don't recall going to teacher-parent conferences, but I do recall to talking to my daughter high school teachers. Cause
same here.
You know,
but I think that's the point, and just like you're saying, I've already communicated, so I don't need to wait to conferences because I've already had this conversation with you. So, that's my point, is I've already had that conversation. I've spoken to your child. I make a point to do that because I don't want to be like, the only time I call is for something bad. So even if a student typically doesn't do well, when they do, I want to highlight that they did. And I want to call home. So if they've been failing every quiz or whatever and just struggling, but they get a B on something, I'm calling you to say, hey, mom and dad, like, I just want you to hear it from me that they did such a great job. And this is what they did to prepare, because that lets you know, it gives you something to feel good about. Right? And I don't think that you have to wait for conferences. So I think my bigger overarching theme here is you don't have to wait for it. Because you can communicate anytime.
Well, let me ask you all this. Do you think teacher-parent conferences are effective?
I felt loaded.
So they can be. But in my past experiences, in my past teaching experiences, in the past, that means not now. I have had parents that would come, like Nikki says, like that didn't need to come. I would have preferred for parents that of children that are failing would come.
Right.
The children that are having issues with their behavior, not getting along with other kids. Those are the parents that I would have liked to see. But in the past, when I taught these kids, they didn't show up. And that's something that's consistent across Georgia.
Or the state, the world.
Yeah.
The U.S. I'm sorry, the state. Georgia's a country too now.
It can be effective, but seriously, I think a lot of parents that do show up are parents that, the kids are doing just fine on paper.
That's a good, So I wonder if it's because when I have my parent who's involved, I do better. I mean, I feel like we already know that that's the answer, but if my parent is involved and aware and proactive about whatever's going on, like Ty said, my parent is calling, my parent is emailing. When they see anything that looks out of order, because you got to know your student. If your student has always made a C in social studies, well, not in C's, but still, I didn't do well. It was my greatest grade. Then, shut up, I could study. But if I was doing that, and then all of a sudden I got an F or something like an A, you should be looking to hear from my teacher about something.
Why don't we hear from those parents that, whose child may be struggling? What is it? What do you think?
So the argument may be, I don't know. Maybe they don't have the time, but that goes back to what we have been saying. If you know you don't have the time to show up for parent conferences, right? Do the work before then.
Yeah. Because
you have to show up and be present at some point. You're going to work, you're going to the brunch,
going to the game.
We're going to games. Little John ain't missing no basketball, no football, no video, whatever the case may be.
Right.
You have to. It's a part of the packet. It's a part of the packet. Everything is this is a piece of the packet you have. And if like I said again, if you know that you can't show up for teacher parent conferences, do the work prior to that.
Yeah, I've had parents in the past, in the past.
You know what that means, right?
Yeah, before
okay.
Prior to
now.
ED. Yeah.
Yeah, I really. So where they didn't know. They had no clue. It's like they were like, I had no clue my child was failing. They had the pen and paper, and they're like, accurately writing everything down.
Yes.
Do you know how to access your child's grades? They say no.
But
I came from I taught at a school
before now in the past.
Yeah.
Because it's not your first rodeo. Okay.
No, absolutely not. I've been teaching a very long time. However, the system that we used at this particular school, put the 0 in, go right to the parent phone.
Wow.
My sister's school district does that.
I love that.
Go right to the phone.
And it's like a notification.
I got the email coming in, and they let them know what they missing. Their parents were on it when they get that 0 come to the phone. I love that system.
So my sister's kids hate, like, literally the kids would hate it. Like when they were out during the pandemic, and they would get like a not turned in, like a 0. Like they didn't even do not turned in. It was just a 0, just bump it straight 0. And my nephews hated it because it would literally be like a text notification come straight across the phone. Such has a 0. And when I say, now my sister is that parent. She calling, she texts, she popping up. She wants a surprise visit. Like she not playing no games. However, she loves that system, and she talks about it.
Is it just like it's different for every school district?
District can choose whatever school district they want.
Yeah. Different methods
of communication.
Yeah, like they have Canvas. That is one tool they use.
And then even for the Google Classroom, the parents were able to get on the Google Classroom to see what you were doing
and can ask you questions
today.
Yeah, they can see. You can see and click on a link. She can click in a
You have to pay for that or something.
No,
or is
the school. The parents don't.
That was a part of Google.
That's just part of what they have. Google has that.
The school has that.
The district has to, like, whatever they want to have their functionality be. That's whatever. That's what they'll have. But each, all these different applications and platforms, they all have different features.
Awesome.
But she loves that because the kids can't, okay, so I'm going to tell my brother, my mom knows this story, but like my brother, we would get report cards, he wouldn't bring his home. He'd be like, I lost it. And I would have mine. And so he would be like, well, I don't know why she got hers. That my teacher didn't give us mine, right?
Because we had paper.
Because we had papers to bring home.
She could change the grade.
Correct.
Oh, my God. Wait a minute. So, story time. Story time.
I have changed my grades before.
I'm going to make this real quick. I was a cheerleader. 8th grade.
Uh-huh.
I ain't done nothing the first 6 weeks. We used to get progress reports
Yes.
every 6 to 9 weeks.
Right.
I ain't done nothing. Because I'm a cheerleader.
Gotta get it signed.
Yeah. So I ain't do nothing. I'm a cheerleader. Talking to my friends, you know. I get the progress report. I had a 73 in language arts.
No, you didn't.
My heart, I'm surprised I didn't have a heart attack in homeroom.
Turn it up.
I took the pen, I tried to round that 3, make it an 8. No man. So I get, you know, my mom, she would come in every single day. And shout out to my mother. She would come in every single day to, you know, go over my homework with me, right? So she looks at she takes the thing, she said, "Did you change your grade?" That was Friday. I woke up on Monday morning. I don't know what happened between Friday and Monday.
You was out.
It was blank. I really don't remember what happened. Like, I don't think she didn't hit me or anything, but it was just
It was that stressful.
it was the stress of it. She goes up to the parent. Now, this is where the parent-teacher conference comes up, and she's like, okay, what's going on? All of my friends were up there because we didn't do nothing. The cheerleaders,
No,
the
y'all
basketball,
weren't.
the entire
So
season.
everybody up there getting the
I tried
struggle.
to change my grade, but you could clearly see where I rounded that 3 off and made it into an 8.
Don't worry. I done changed mine too.
But then you got caught, right?
He hit the progress. He hit the progress report.
I should have done that.
Put it in the living room. But see,
But
my mom found out. See, one thing about my mom, she was very, very in tune in the education system.
Oh, yeah.
But I tried to hide the progress report.
What did you do? What happened?
I got found out. I got found out. I don't know how I got found out. But I know that progress report came home. Where is it?
That's right. Yeah.
I had go in the living room. My grandma had a whole bunch of things that you can hide stuff in. I had to go drag that progress report out.
Oh,
Then I had to change the grades.
More than one. It was plural.
Oh, we was cutting up in school. Me and my good friend. Oh, high school.
Oh, my goodness.
We was.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
It was bad.
I was scared of my mama. I wasn't going
bad.
down like finding them. I was fine.
Oh,
I
God. That was.
I'm sorry, mama.
I'm surprised I went through that.
I can write my mama to this day. We were exactly the same, huh? Practice make perfect.
But you changing the grade.
Shout, mama.
That is so funny. That's hilarious.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
Well,
we changed it.
Parents,
Jesus.
parents, let's bring this to bring it
Yeah,
on in.
bring it on. Bring it on.
Show up for your parent-teacher conferences.
Yes,
and if you
please.
cannot make it in advance, make sure that you are doing the work before their time comes.
Mm-hmm.
and teachers get prepared. Prepare for every single parent that you have, for every single student. Have all their stuff laid out. And then communicate. We don't have to wait. Call for the good, call for bad.
Yeah,
that would be mine.
And know
Call
that
for
it's okay to ask for help.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
it's really okay to say, hey, my child is struggling. I don't know what to do to help them. Don't wait until the last minute to try to figure out what you can do about this 10. And we are 2 weeks away from
final exams.
Yep.
Yes.
and it's a 10.
Just a 10. 1-0.
1-0.
Two decimals.
What can we do?
Place.
I don't know. I'll do the best I can.
Hard to come from 10.
Whew.
Well,
It's a hard climb.
You can find us on all platforms. Real Teachers of Atlanta on all platforms.
Yes,
Thank you for
join
tuning
us.
in.
Yes.
Make sure that you like and
Please.
subscribe to
And
our
share.
YouTube channel.
Yes.
Definitely share, because we know that we are a hot topic. Thank you for tuning in.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Change